Alright guys, welcome to my SPED Talk. Today we're going to be talking about automatic generation of docx files. This is great for automation mostly. It'll help you usually with clients that are trying to automate things like contracts or weekly reports, monthly reports, anything that's repetitive essentially, or maybe just a report that needs to be sent out to multiple clients that need different information on them, but you don't want to shift through hundreds of documents and edit it by hand. So this is generating docx files. What are docx files? So docx files originally started as doc files owned by Microsoft. They weren't open source, so nobody could use them but Microsoft, so they kind of had a monopoly on that file format. Eventually around 2000 they changed that and it became open source so that competitors could use it, and they created this docx file which competitors can also use that is using the XML language, which is kind of like HTML. It's like a better version, I suppose, of HTML. So yeah, they started out as a simple text writing service, and they evolved to become much more complex and fit the needs of just about anybody for what they need for a text document. There's not a lot you can't do with the document at this point. So why use docx? The simple answer is it's what everyone uses. Google Documents is the docx file format. Word is the docx file format. There's not a company out there that I've ever seen that hasn't used docx for one thing or another. They're easily editable. If you want to make them password protected, you can. They've got encryptions. They've got all sorts of things. They've got just about everything you could ever ask for in a text document. They have multiple editors, online editors, browser-based editors, so you don't have to have something installed, or you can have like the Microsoft Word editor, who has years and years and years and years of development inside of it. So the only real cons, and we have this pros and cons list, is it's editable by anyone unless password protected, and then it's encrypted once it is password protected. So they'd have to do some work to get to your document at that point. So there's not a lot of cons to using a docx file. So options for generation. Many libraries offer generation options. There's not really a mainstream language out there that doesn't have some library for a docx generation. Most all C-based languages have it, and a few of the interpreted languages. The ones that we're going to talk about today are Python and JavaScript, specifically the libraries called docx within those. There's some other libraries out there that you can use too, and I'm sure they're great. I just don't have any experience with them. And these ones seem pretty straightforward and malleable. So yeah, I found libraries in C++ and C#. I haven't used them yet. So Python's docx generation. There's a link for some documents there. It's quite simple. We import from docx, we import the document file, and then we create a document object, just like you would any other object-oriented programming through Python. And then once we have that document object, we simply add elements to it. We just use functions like add run, add paragraph, add table, things like that. So all these elements that I have listed right here can be added through functions, or methods, excuse me, that are used on top of this document. So, and all of those documents have properties like italic, bold. You've got image sources, things like that. So JavaScript's docx generation, you have to use npm to install it. It's through Node.js. You can import all, or you can import just specific things, just like any other JavaScript library. And then we create a document using the new keyword. And you can do constant or you can do let. I haven't modified a document yet. I've just used variables, and that's one of the nice things about JavaScript's docx generation is if I want to create a table outside the document or create multiple documents and use the same table within them, I can totally do that. So here's an example. JavaScript's document creation. here's a table. All we need to do is say const table, new table, and include all the elements of it. And that can get pretty long. It can be a lot of code. You can have tables have rows, they have columns, they have cells, they have content in each of those cells. And so the code that you write for that can get pretty long, but it ends up looking pretty similar to HTML at the end of the day, just using the new keyword to make new items. So yeah, I hope you learned a little bit more about document generation and automation. It's not, it looks a little daunting, but I promise it's not as hard as it seems. And once you learn it, you can really automate a lot of tasks that maybe took away a lot of your time in the past. So thank you very much.